So we will be doing three things right at the start. You will be with me for 20 minutes. Be attentive. In these 20 minutes, I'll be making 4 or 5 points, not too heavy. All right. That's one. Number two, when I'll talk, there'll be nothing to see. When there'll be something to see, I won't talk. That's number two. Number three, the whole next 20 minutes will be about why, mostly about why. Why contextual? Why rich media? Specifically 3D. That's what we'll be talking about in next 20 minutes. But what we'll do is that we'll start with a what. Few of you would know Mediakart, the ones who don't know. We are a media solutions company. What I'll do in next 20 minutes is also talk a little bit through stories, through examples. So I'll start with a story to tell you what Mediakart is, and this is my favorite story. Husband thought that the wife had developed a little bit of a problem in hearing, but he was very sensitive. So he did not take up the issue directly, but consulted a friend who was a doctor saying that, what do we do about this? The friend said that first we need to find out the extent of the problem, and for that what you need to do is to speak with your wife from a distance of 50 feet, 40, 30, 10, and so on, so that we know exactly to what extent the problem is. And that's precisely what husband did. One evening he asked his wife, darling, what's it in for dinner? From 50 feet, he didn't get an answer. Moved to 40 feet and asked the same question, what's it in for dinner? From 30, 20, 10, and went as close to his wife as possible, asked the same question. The wife turns around and replies, this is the 5th time I'm telling you it's fish and rice. So, if husband is the advertiser, wife is the audience, then Mediakart is that doctor friend who helps you solve the problem. We, as a media solutions company, come up with the capability to target, reach, contextually reach the right audience, as well as make great creatives for a whole lot of your campaigns to get the kind of results that you're always looking for. Right at the start mentioned about why, so we're completely moving towards why. And there are 4 or 5 points that I'd be making are these. We'll go in detail about these. The first, the contextual request depicts state of mind. I'll repeat, the contextual request depicts state of mind. How does that happen? With the targeting, we would typically look at, say, a cooking oil company would not like to target somebody who's in the age range of 25 to 30. I know 2 people who work in my organization who are in this age range, and their behaviors are exactly the same. Both of them are high performers, well-to-do, own foldable phones, go on holidays, plan to marry. But there is one difference. One likes to cook, the other does not. The targeting won't help us reach the person who likes to cook, but contextual targeting would do. What are these kind of targetings that are possible? This studies done suggest there are 3 kind of destinations that users usually go to. First, and these are by far the 3. The fourth one has a huge gap between 3 and 4. The first one is news. The second one is do it yourself. And third one is reviews and recommendations. Almost 80 to 90% of the people, of the users center around these 3 only. News, do it yourself, and reviews and recommendations. What kind of destinations that they go to? The kind of destinations that they visit is about where they can read about health and wellness. That's number 1. Finance and investment, number 2. And entertainment and celebrities, number 3. Now, suppose, for an example, if someone is looking at right state of mind, they can look at do it yourself and health and wellness and get great results. Same goes for cooking oil. I'll stick to cooking oil because that's the example that I started with. Now, cooking oil, if marries these 2, gets the audience in completely right state of mind. How crucial the state of mind is, there is another story, very interesting story. Because there's an old man who moved to a neighborhood because he thought it was very quiet and he wanted his peaceful siestas and all. Right next to his house, there was a playground where right at 3 o'clock, children would come and play. Everything that he tried fell on deaf ears. He thought of something. He went to those kids and said that you please keep coming here. I will pay you $10 every time you come and play. He did that for 2 or 3 days. Then he reduced the amount to $5, to 3, to 2, and one fine day he completely stopped paying them. The day he stopped paying, all these kids walked out of the playground, murmuring behind their back, what does he think? We are going to play without any money. What happened here? They were playing for the joy of playing, but he changed the context to playing for money and completely succeeded. That's the power of context that we've got. That brings me to the next point about the context, which is negative context diminishes awareness. Whenever we come across negative context, we develop a tunnel vision. As soon as we develop a tunnel vision, we switch on our fight or flight mode. We are in no position at that point of time to know what's exactly happening around us. If there is anxiety that I create here and ask what color the walls are, you won't be able to tell me. You won't be able to tell me the kind of clothes the person sitting next to you is wearing. That's what happens with negative context. Mostly negative context is about anxiety. This is I'm talking about when we are spending time online. Anxiety or related feelings are always imagined, and all researchers suggest that 85% of the time that we imagine will happen does not happen. But still we are worried and our awareness completely goes down. What we'll see later is that how awareness is linked to everything. Thus, negative context should completely be avoided, and that's the power of contextual that comes into the picture. That's point number 2. Point number 3 about context is the abundance of data that is available through AI that helps us reach the right audience. When I say contextual, the first thing that will come to your mind is keywords. That's how we know contextual. But in this day and age, and particularly with Mediakart, contextual is not only about keywords. It is about keywords, but also about the sentiment of the article, the length of the article, the heading of the article. 94% of the articles are associated with an image, and contextual is also about what's happening in those images. Who's there? What kind of object? What kind of activity? There are 8 or 9 variables that come together to form contextual targeting and gets you great results. This was a study done in France. This was in, I think, year 2017, where a young, good-looking boy was asked to go to a mall and ask women there for their number so that he could call them for a date. This good-looking boy was asked to ask number from women there so that he could call for the date. The activity started. He was standing in front of a bakery, and he did what he was supposed to do. Hardly anyone gave her their number. Hardly anyone gave their number to him. Around success rate of around 12%. The next shop in front of which he stood was a shoe shop, and the percentage remained the same. It actually went down by 1 or 2 points. The third shop is where everything changed. 1 out of every 4 women gave him their number. That shop was a flower shop. The background completely changed everything. It was the same boy, the same audience that he was targeting, the same activity that he did, but a background completely changed the result. Contextual is extremely powerful, but more so when it comes to image. Thus, in-image contextual has a power to grip us completely and give us the desired result. This time to see a few things. 1 minute 14 seconds is what you will see. The contextual targeted campaigns that we run, and you'll see the effectiveness of those. If you can play the video, please. Yeah, so spoke about contextual, moving to rich media, which is the second part of the discussion. Um, there is a three-step process that happens, which is which moves from attention to awareness to action. And this is necessarily true for every mind. It has to move, take through that journey, which is attention to awareness to action. Action does not happen in standalone. Then why is attention a problem? And this is because our mind has two very dear friends, experience and imagination. Our mind is always, and a lot of studies suggest that mind is not able to differentiate between experience and imagination. They keep it fertile. What experience and imagination do is that it keeps us away from the reality. What is reality? What is happening in front of us? And how do we make sure that we are present at that point of time? It requires stimulus, very strong stimulus. That's why we get bored even a minute-long reels. Stimulus is not strong enough. Rich media is that strong stimulus that gets the attention of individuals. It always gets the attention of the individuals, thus the awareness gets built, and thus the action happens. And so very important for advertisers to make sure that they gather the attention through rich media. There was a perfect seller that a team was trying to find in US. A whole lot of people were met and all, but one day somebody said that there is a person who sells everything that he's asked to sell. He was a seller in a shoe shop. A couple of people went there to observe how did he operate. When a customer came in and asked to see a pair of shoes, he showed them a pair of shoes. When he was asked to show another pair of shoes, he showed another pair of shoes. When the customer asked to show another pair of shoes is when the difference happened. The shoe seller said, which one out of these two I remove? Why did he do that? Because the more you put in front of them, the less the attention. Attention made him the best seller that he was, and attention will make you the best seller, sell the products that you are selling online. Thus, always go for something that's strong enough, a strong stimulus enough, so that it attracts attention. A few examples you'll see in next 1 minute. If you could just play the video. Pause. Last topic is about one specific rich media that has more impact than any other rich media, which is three-dimensional ad. You'd be hearing and seeing a lot of emphasis on 3D and wonder what is so great about three-dimensional. What is it that two-dimensional can do that three-dimensional cannot? That's again got to do with human mind. The sense of depth starts developing in a kid from the time that he or she is 6 months old. And our subconscious or unconscious mind always believes that whatever has 3 dimensions is an object. Even when seen on screen, for 4 or 5 seconds, the subconscious or unconscious mind tells you this is the object, and thus you do get to give it a lot of attention. No matter how bad a three-dimensional creative is, it will get attention as an object. No matter how good a two-dimensional image is, it will always be considered an image. That is truth about every individual and every way that we interact. The sense of depth, this is not an apt example, but will give you a sense, is that if I put a plank, it's going to ring, so we'll wait. Okay. If you put a plank on the ground and ask anyone to walk on it, a 6 feet by 3 feet plank, will be able to walk. The same plank and same you, when the plank is put across two buildings, you won't, because a third dimension comes into the picture. The dimension changes everything, right? That's why three-dimensional creatives are even better when it comes to executing rich media campaigns. Few examples you'll see on screen. The time is almost up. I'll take not more than 2 minutes. 1 minute for this and 1 minute to conclude. 2 minutes. Yeah, you could play the video. Yeah, so last 1 minute, just quoting a study to conclude what I was trying to say. Marine biologists did a study where a big tank was brought in and a shark and a lot of fishes were put in that tank. You would know what would have happened, and it's exactly what happened. The shark ate up all the fishes. As a next step in the experiment, the marine biologist inserted an transparent optic fiber glass in the water tank and released the fishes on the other side. What the shark was that it tried to eat but hit that wall. It tried very frequently to start with, then less frequently, and then there came a point of time then shark completely gave up. At that point of time, the third stage of the research happened, where the scientists removed that glass. Once the glass was removed, the fishes were swimming everywhere around the shark, but shark did not attack them. This is exactly how human minds also operate. And this happens because of a part of a brain called amygdala that bases our action on experiences that we have had. Experiences and learnings that we have bases that. Advertising has become something like that, where the user is like a shark and these advertisements are like fishes who are there but completely to be ignored. Thus, it requires a lot of contextual and rich media power to awaken the shark, in this case the user, to make sure that they interact with the ads that we are placing. Try this and you'll see huge success. Thank you for being such a patient audience.